Charlie entered the shop and laid the damp 50p on the counter. "1 Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight," he said, remembering how much he had loved the one he had on his birthday. The man behind the counter looked fat and well fed. He had big lips and fat cheeks and a very fat neck. The fat around his neck bulged out all around the top of his collar like a rubber ring. He turned and reached behind him for the chocolate bar. Then he turned back again and handed it to Charlie. Charlie grabbed it and quickly tore off the wrapper and took an enormous bite. Then he took off another and another, and oh, the joy of being able to cram large pieces of something sweet and solid into one's mouth. The sheer, blissful joy of being able to fill one's mouth with rich, solid food. "You look like you wanted that one, Sonny," said the shopkeeper pleasantly. Charlie nodded, his mouth bulging with chocolate. The shopkeeper put Charlie's change on the counter. "Take it easy," he said. "I'll give you a tummy ache if you go swallowing it without chewing." Charlie went on wolfing the chocolate. He couldn't stop, and in less than half a minute the whole thing had disappeared down his throat. He was quite out of breath, and he felt marvellously, extraordinarily happy. He reached out a hand to take the change. Then he paused. His eyes were just above the level of the counter. They were staring at the silver coins lying there. The coins were all 5p pieces. There were 9 of them altogether. Surely it wouldn't matter if he spent just one more. "I think," he said quietly, "I think I'll just have one more of those chocolate bars. The same kind as before, please." "Why not?" said the fat shopkeeper, and reaching behind him again and taking another Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight from the shelf, he laid it on the counter. Charlie picked it up and tore off the wrapper, and suddenly, from underneath the wrapper there came a brilliant flash of gold. Charlie's heart stood still. "It's a golden ticket!" screamed the shopkeeper, leaping about a foot in the air. "You've got a golden ticket! You've found the last golden ticket! Hey, you won't believe it! Come and look at this, everybody! The kid's found a Wonka's last golden ticket! There he is! It's right here in his hands!" It seemed as though the shopkeeper was going to have a fit. "In my shop too!" he yelled. "He found it here, in my own little shop. Somebody call the newspapers quick and let them know. Watch out now, Sonny, don't tear it as you unwrap it. That thing's precious." In a few seconds there was a crowd of about 20 people clustering around Charlie, and many more were pushing their way in from the street. Everybody wanted to get a look at the golden ticket and at the lucky finder. "Where is it?" somebody shouted. "Hold it up so we can all see it." "There it is, there!" someone else shouted. "He's holding it in his hand. See the gold shining." "How did he manage to find it, I'd like to know?" a large boy said angrily. 20 bars a day I've been buying for weeks and weeks." "Think of all the free stuff he'll be getting too," another boy said enviously. "A lifetime supply." "He'll need it, the skinny little shrimp," a girl said, laughing. Charlie hadn't moved. He hadn't even unwrapped the golden ticket from around the chocolate. He was standing very still, holding it tightly with both hands while the crowd pushed and shouted all around him. He felt quite dizzy. There was a peculiar floating sensation coming over him, as though he were floating up in the air like a balloon. His feet didn't seem to be touching the ground at all. He could hear his heart thumping away loudly, somewhere in his throat. At that point he became aware of a hand resting lightly on his shoulder, and when he looked up he saw a tall man standing over him. "Listen," the man whispered. "I'll buy it from you. I'll give you £50. How about it, eh? And I'll give you a new bicycle as well. Okay?" "Are you crazy?" shouted a woman who was standing equally close. "Why, I'd give him £200 for the ticket. You want to sell that ticket for £200, young man?" "That's quite enough of that," the fat shopkeeper shouted, pushing his way through the crowd and taking Charlie firmly by the arm. "Leave the kid alone, will you? Make way there, let him out." And to Charlie, as he led him to the door, he whispered, "Don't you let anybody have it. Take it straight home quickly before you lose it. Run all the way and don't stop till you get there. You understand?" Charlie nodded. "You know something?" the fat shopkeeper said, pausing for a moment and smiling at Charlie. I have a feeling you needed a break like this. I'm awfully glad you got it. Good luck to you, Sonny." "Thank you," Charlie said, and off he went, running through the snow as fast as his legs would go. And he flew past Mr. Wonka's factory. He turned and waved and sang out, "I'll be seeing you! I'll be seeing you soon!" And 5 minutes later he arrived at his own home. What it said on the golden ticket. Charlie burst through the front door. "Mother! Mother! Mother!" Mrs. Bucket was in the old grandparents' room, serving them their evening soup. "Mother!" yelled Charlie, rushing in like a hurricane. "Look! Look! I've got it! Look, Mother, look! The last golden ticket! It's mine! I found some money in the street and I bought 2 bars of chocolate, and the second one had the golden ticket, and there were crowds of people all around me wanting to see it, and the shopkeeper rescued me, and I ran all the way home, and I'm here, and it's the 5th golden ticket, Mother, and I found it!" Mrs. Bucket simply stood and stared, while the 4 old grandparents who were sitting up in bed balancing bowls of soup on their laps all dropped their spoons with a clatter and froze against their pillows. For about 10 seconds there was absolute silence in the room. Nobody dared to speak or move. It was a magic moment. Then, very softly, Grandpa Joe said, "You're pulling our legs, Charlie, aren't you? You're having a little joke." "I am not!" cried Charlie, rushing up to the bed and holding out the large and beautiful golden ticket for him to see. Grandpa Joe leaned forward and took a close look. His nose was almost touching the ticket. The others watched him, waiting for the verdict. Then very slowly, with a slow and marvellous grin spreading over his face, Grandpa Joe lifted his head and looked straight at Charlie. The colour was rushing to his cheeks, and his eyes were wide open, shining with joy, and in the centre of each eye, right in the very centre, in the black pupil, a little spark of wild excitement was slowly dancing. Then the old man took a deep breath, and suddenly, with no warning whatsoever, an explosion seemed to take place inside him. He threw up his arms and yelled, "Yippee!" And at the same time his long bony nose rose up out of the bed, and his bowl of soup went flying in the face of Grandma Josephine. And in one fantastic leap, this old fellow of 96 and a half, who hadn't been out of bed for the last 20 years, jumped on the floor and started doing a dance of victory in his pyjamas. "Yippee!" he shouted. "3 cheers for Charlie! Hip, hip, hooray!" At this point, the door opened and Mr. Bucket walked into the room. He was cold and tired, and he looked it. All day long he'd been shovelling snow in the streets. "Cripes!" he cried. "What's going on in here?" It didn't take him long to tell him what had happened. "Oh, I don't believe it. It's just not possible." "Show him the ticket, Charlie," shouted Grandpa Joe, who was still dancing around the floor like a dervish in his striped pyjamas. "Show your father the 5th and the last golden ticket in the world." "Let me see it, Charlie," Mr. Bucket said, collapsing into a chair and holding out his hand. Charlie came forward with the precious document. It was a very beautiful thing, this golden ticket, having been made so it seemed from a sheet of pure gold hammered out almost to the thinness of paper. On one side of it, printed by some clever method in jet black letters, was the invitation itself, from Mr. Wonka. "Read it aloud, Grandpa Joe," said Grandpa Joe, climbing back into bed again at last. "Let's hear it exactly what it says." Mr. Bucket held the golden ticket up close to his eyes. His hands were trembling slightly, and he seemed overcome by the whole business. He took several deep breaths, and then he cleared his throat. "All right, I'll read it. Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this golden ticket, from Mr. Willy Wonka. I shake you warmly by the hand. Tremendous things are in store for you. Many wonderful surprises await you. For now, I do invite you to come to my factory and be my guest for 1 whole day. You and all others who are lucky enough to find my golden tickets. I, Willy Wonka, will conduct you around the factory myself, showing you everything there is to see, and afterwards, when it is time to leave, you'll be escorted home by a procession of large trucks. These trucks, I can promise, will be loaded with enough delicious eatables to last you and your entire household for many years. If at any time thereafter you should run out of supplies, you only have to come back to the factory and show this golden ticket, and I shall be happy to refill your cupboard with whatever you want. In this way you'll be able to keep yourself supplied with tasty morsels for the rest of your life. But this is by no means the most exciting thing that will happen to you on the day of the visit. I'm preparing other surprises that are even more marvellous and more fantastic for you and my beloved golden ticket holders. Mystic and marvellous surprises that will entrance, delight, intrigue, astonish and perplex you beyond measure. In your wildest dreams you could not imagine that these things could happen to you. Just wait and see. And now here are your instructions. The day I have chosen for the visit is the first day in the month of February. On this day, and on no other, you must come to the factory at 10 o'clock sharp in the morning. Don't be late. And you are allowed to bring with you either 1 or 2 members of your own family to look after you and to ensure that you don't get into mischief. One more thing. Be certain to have this ticket with you. Otherwise, you will not be admitted. Signed, Willy Wonka. The first day of February? Cried Mrs. Bucket. But that's tomorrow. Today is the last day of January. I know it is. Cripes, said Mr. Bucket. I think you're right. You're just in time, shouted Grandpa Joe. Joe, there's not a moment to lose. You must start making preparations at once. Wash your face, comb your hair, scrub your hands, brush your teeth, blow your nose, cut your nails, polish your shoes, iron your shirt. And for heaven's sake, get all that mud off your pants. You must get ready, my boy. You must get ready for the biggest day of your life. Now, don't overexcite yourself, Grandpa, Mrs. Bucket said, and don't fluster poor Charlie. We must all try and keep very calm. Now, the first thing to decide is this. Who is going to go with Charlie to the factory? I will, shouted Grandpa Joe, leaping out of bed. I'll take him, I'll look after him, you leave it to me. Mrs. Bucket smiled at the old man as she turned to her husband and said, How about you, dear? Don't you think you ought to go? Well, Mr. Bucket said, pausing to think about it. No, I'm not sure that I should. But you must. There's no must about it, my dear, Mr. Bucket said gently. Mind you, I'd love to go. It'd be tremendously exciting. But on the other hand, I believe that the person who really deserves to go, most of all, is Grandpa Joe himself. He seems to know more about it than we do, provided, of course, that he feels well enough. Yippee! Shouted Grandpa Joe, seizing Charlie by the hands and dancing around the room. Well, he certainly seems well enough, Mrs. Bucket said. Yes, perhaps you're right after all. Perhaps Grandpa Joe should be the one to go with him. I certainly can't go myself and leave the other 3 old people all alone in bed for a whole day. Hallelujah! Yelled Grandpa Joe. Praise the Lord! At that point, there was a loud knock on the front door. Mr. Bucket went to open it, and the next moment swarms of newspapermen and photographers were pouring into the house. They had all tracked down the finder of the 5th golden ticket, and now they all wanted to get the full story for the front pages of the morning papers. For several hours there was complete pandemonium in the little house, and it must have been nearly midnight before Mr. Bucket was finally able to get rid of them so that Charlie could go to bed.